In the world we live in, there are countless circumstances, people, and situations that are beyond our control. We encounter adversity, setbacks, and pain at various points in our lives. Some we expect, and some that hit us completely out of nowhere. It's easy to feel like we are at the mercy of these forces, that our happiness and success are tied to factors outside of ourselves. But here's a truth that can radically change your perspective. You are not powerless. You are not a victim of your circumstances, nor are you a prisoner of your past. You have the power of choice. Every single moment of your life, you have the ability to decide how you respond to the world around you. You have the power to choose how you engage with the experiences that come your way, and that is a gift. It's easy to forget this when we're feeling overwhelmed or stuck. We can fall into the trap of believing that we are defined by the things that happen to us, that life is happening to us, and that we have little say in the matter. But in reality, we always have a choice in how we react. You can't control the fact that someone might betray your trust, but you can choose how you respond to that betrayal. You can't control every circumstance in your life, but you can choose how to show up in the face of adversity. What truly matters is not what happens to you, but how you choose to react to it. So often we're taught that power lies in controlling external factors, controlling people, controlling outcomes, controlling the future. But the true power lies in mastering our inner world. Embracing the power of choice means that you are in command of how you process your emotions, how you interpret your experiences, and how you move forward. When you stop relying on the external to dictate your happiness, you unlock the ability to create peace, joy, and fulfillment within yourself, regardless of the storms that may rage outside. Think about a time in your life when you were faced with an incredibly difficult challenge. Maybe you lost a job, ended a relationship, or faced a health crisis. In those moments, it can feel like everything is spiraling out of control. But even in those moments of despair, you always have the choice to decide how you will move through it. Will you succumb to bitterness, anger, and frustration, or will you rise above it, learn from it, and use it to fuel your growth? This is not to say that it's easy. It's not about pretending the pain isn't real or that the challenges don't matter. It's about acknowledging the reality of your emotions without letting them control you. And it's about remembering that you always have a choice. It's important to understand that choice doesn't mean instant happiness. It doesn't mean that everything will suddenly be smooth or perfect. Choosing to respond with strength and resilience doesn't eliminate the difficulty, but it changes the dynamic of the experience. When you make the conscious decision to choose your reaction to life's obstacles, you take back your power. You stop being at the mercy of external circumstances, and you start taking ownership of your journey. That's where real freedom is found. Imagine your emotional life as a scale. On one side, you have your circumstances. What's happening around you, what others are doing, what's beyond your control. On the other side, you have your responses, your thoughts, your decisions, your feelings. Most of us focus so much on trying to manipulate the circumstances, trying to change what's happening around us. But the key to emotional balance lies not in controlling the scale, but in controlling how much weight we give to our responses. What does that mean? It means that no matter what happens, you have the ability to decide how much emotional energy you give to it. Let's say you're going through a tough breakup or dealing with an unexpected setback at work. You can choose how much time, energy, and focus you invest in that situation. You can choose to wallow in self-pity, bitterness, or anger, or you can choose to acknowledge your feelings, but not let them consume you. You can choose to see every difficulty as an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become better equipped to handle what lies ahead. Choosing is not about avoiding pain. Pain is inevitable. Life will bring challenges, hardships, and losses. What you can choose is whether you allow that pain to define you or whether you let it propel you towards something greater. In every painful experience, there is an opportunity to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this situation help me grow? How can I rise above this and become a stronger version of myself? So many of us go through life reacting automatically to our circumstances, like a leaf being blown by the wind. But when you embrace the power of choice, you become the wind. You take charge of your path. You choose how you will respond to the challenges, how you will learn from the setbacks, and how you will move forward. And remember this, your choice doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, you may fail at times, and that's okay. The power of choice is not about being flawless. It's about being intentional. It's about showing up for yourself every single day and reminding yourself that you are in control of how you choose to perceive and react to the world. When you recognize that, you free yourself from the constraints of victimhood. The truth is, there is no one else who can make these decisions for you. Others can offer advice, they can guide you, they can even show you the way, but the choice of how you engage with your life is yours and yours alone. And with that choice comes the greatest power of all, the ability to shape your own destiny. One of the most profound realities of life is this: we can only carry so much. Every day we collect experiences, memories, emotions, and thoughts. These mental and emotional burdens are a part of us whether we acknowledge them or not. Some are light, like fleeting joys and minor inconveniences. Others are heavy, laden with grief, regret, fear, and unspoken pain. And though it may seem tempting to sweep these feelings under the rug, to ignore them and pretend they don't exist, there's one thing that is undeniable. The weight of neglect can be crushing. When we choose to neglect our feelings, to avoid processing the emotions that come up in the face of adversity, we are, in essence, choosing to carry them in a hidden, silent form. At first, it may feel like you're getting away with it. You push forward, distracting yourself, ignoring the emotions that arise, convincing yourself that they don't matter or that they will go away with time. But here's the truth. They don't disappear. They don't go away. Instead, they accumulate. We've all been there at some point, pretending to be okay when we are anything but. We say we're fine even though we're carrying the weight of past traumas, unresolved conflicts, disappointments, or even just the anxiety of not knowing what the future holds. These emotions don't go away just because we refuse to face them. In fact, they become more pronounced over time, gradually building up until they can no longer be ignored. At first, you might feel light. You might feel like you're handling everything just fine. You might think, I don't need to deal with this right now, or it's not that big of a deal. But over time, the neglected emotions begin to accumulate. They begin to weigh on your shoulders. Every ignored feeling adds another pound, another layer to your emotional burden. And slowly, that weight becomes more than just a feeling. It becomes an anchor, pulling you down, preventing you from moving forward. Imagine walking around with a heavy backpack filled with rocks, bricks, and boulders. At first, the weight seems manageable. It's uncomfortable, yes, but you can keep walking. But as the hours, days, weeks, and months go by, that backpack becomes harder to carry. Your energy begins to drain, your posture begins to falter, and your pace slows. Eventually, the weight is so overwhelming that it feels impossible to move. This is the weight of neglecting your emotions. When we refuse to confront our feelings, when we push them aside in the hopes that they will magically vanish, we are giving those feelings power over us. They grow in size and intensity when left unchecked. It's like trying to keep a beach ball submerged underwater. As long as you hold it down, you can manage it. But eventually the pressure becomes too much and the ball shoots out of the water, hitting you with force. In the same way, unresolved emotions will eventually surface, often in unpredictable and overwhelming ways. This weight of neglect manifests in many areas of our lives. For some, it shows up as chronic stress or anxiety. For others, it can take the form of depression, irritability, or even physical symptoms like headaches, fatigue, and muscle tension. The emotional toll of neglect is not just psychological. It affects our physical well-being as well. Stress from unresolved emotions can lead to high blood pressure, digestive issues, and a weakened immune system. Now, it can prevent us from sleeping well, from focusing, and from engaging fully in our relationships and our work. The neglect of emotions doesn't just affect our mental and physical health. It also hinders our ability to grow. When we suppress our feelings, we prevent ourselves from learning the lessons that pain and discomfort are meant to teach us. Each emotion, no matter how unpleasant, holds valuable insight. Pain is not something that happens to us, it happens for us. It shows us where we need to heal, what we need to change, and where we need to grow. But if we continuously shove that pain aside, we miss the opportunity for growth. We stay stuck, unable to move forward because we're too busy carrying around the weight of unaddressed feelings. And here's the thing, this weight doesn't just affect us in the present moment. The impact of neglecting our feelings lingers. The longer we avoid dealing with our emotions, the more difficult it becomes to move through life with clarity and purpose. The longer we carry the weight, the more it distorts our perception of the world and our sense of self. We begin to believe that we are unworthy of peace, that we are forever burdened, that we are incapable of overcoming what we're feeling. We become prisoners of our own avoidance. But let me be clear. Neglecting your emotions is not the same as being strong. In fact, true strength lies in confronting your feelings no matter how difficult they may be. It takes incredible courage to face the discomfort, the pain, and the uncertainty that comes with dealing with our emotions. It's much easier to turn away, to numb ourselves, to avoid, but this avoidance comes at a cost. The cost of your well-being, your growth, and your peace of mind. The weight of neglect also prevents us from living authentically. When we ignore our feelings, we start to live inauthentically, pretending to be someone we're not, hiding parts of ourselves in order to fit in or avoid judgment. But when we allow ourselves to feel and acknowledge our emotions, we open the door to authenticity. We allow ourselves to be fully human, to experience joy, sorrow, anger, fear, and love without shame or denial. We allow ourselves to be real with ourselves and with others. Neglecting our feelings is a form of self-rejection. It's a message we send ourselves that says, your emotions don't matter. What you're feeling isn't important. But when we choose to honor and validate our emotions, we send ourselves a different message. You matter. What you're feeling is important, and you have the strength to face it. So while it may seem easier in the short term to avoid, ignore, or suppress what we're feeling, the true cost of neglect is the weight it places on our hearts, our minds, and our bodies. It keeps us stuck in patterns of resistance, preventing us from stepping into the fullness of who we are meant to be. Awareness is the first step toward real change. It's the key that unlocks the door to transformation, growth, and personal liberation. You might have heard the saying, you can't fix what you don't know is broken. Well, this is exactly what awareness allows you to do. It sheds light on the areas of your life that you've been neglecting, the patterns when you become aware of what's going on inside you, your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors, you open yourself up to the possibility of breakthrough. You open yourself to change, to healing, and to becoming the person you're meant to be. But this process of becoming aware isn't always easy. It requires a level of honesty, vulnerability, and self-reflection that many of us are hesitant to engage with. It's far easier to continue with life as usual, to maintain the status quo, and to ignore the deeper aspects of ourselves that are uncomfortable or painful. Yet it's in those moments of discomfort, when we confront the parts of ourselves that we've been hiding from, that the greatest breakthroughs happen. Awareness is the spark that ignites the fire of transformation. Think about it for a moment. How often do you move through your days on autopilot, caught in the cycle of routines, distractions, and responsibilities? You wake up, go to work, come home, eat, sleep, and repeat. Throughout this process, how much attention do you actually give to your emotional state, your inner dialogue, or your body? Most of us are so caught up in the external noise of life that we forget to tune in to what's happening within. But if you want to create real lasting change in your life, you have to start by cultivating the awareness to understand what's going on inside of you. Awareness starts with mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in the moment. When we are mindful, we stop going through the motions and start paying attention to what we are thinking, feeling, and doing in real time. This is an essential part of emotional intelligence because without mindfulness, we can't begin to understand the root causes of our emotions or behaviors. Without awareness, we can't even begin to make the conscious decisions that are necessary for change. The first step toward awareness is recognizing your emotions as they arise. How many times have you experienced anger, sadness, or frustration without even realizing it? You might have felt irritable all day, snapped at someone, or withdrawn into yourself without understanding why. But when you bring awareness to these emotions in the moment, you take away their power. Instead of letting anger or sadness control you, you can acknowledge it, explore it, and decide how to respond to it in a healthy way. Take a moment to consider how many times you've reacted to something, whether it's a situation or another person, without ever really stopping to think about what triggered your response. You might have lashed out because of something minor, but you didn't pause long enough to realize that it was actually something deeper inside of you that caused the emotional reaction. Awareness is the key to breaking these automatic reactive patterns. When you become aware of your triggers and your emotional responses, you can start to unravel the root causes and take conscious steps to heal them. Awareness also brings clarity. It allows you to see things as they truly are, not as you want them to be or as you've been conditioned to see them. Many of us are clouded by past experiences, biases, or judgments that distort our perception of the present. Our mind tends to filter everything through the lens of past pain, limiting beliefs, and preconceived notions. Awareness, however, gives you the ability to see things clearly and objectively, free from these distortions. When you are aware of your thoughts, you are no longer a victim of them. You can evaluate whether they are serving you or holding you back. For example, how many of us have negative thoughts about ourselves? Thoughts that tell us we're not good enough, that we'll never succeed, or that we don't deserve happiness. These thoughts can feel so ingrained in our minds that we don't even question them. But once you begin to practice awareness, you can start to recognize these limiting thoughts as just that, thoughts, not truths. Awareness allows you to challenge these negative beliefs and replace them with empowering ones. As we continue down the path of awareness, it's important to understand that this process isn't just about observing what's happening on the surface level. True awareness goes deeper. It's about tuning into the unconscious patterns, the hidden fears, and the unresolved wounds that influence your behavior. This is where the real work begins. It's about asking yourself, why do I feel this way? Or what's really driving my behavior in this situation? When you begin to peel back the layers of your own consciousness, you'll often discover things you weren't consciously aware of. You might uncover old wounds, repressed memories, or unhealed trauma that have been silently shaping your actions and relationships. This is not something to be afraid of. It's a profound opportunity for healing, because once you become aware of these hidden aspects of yourself, you can begin to heal them. You can choose to address the unresolved pain, shift the beliefs that no longer serve you, and let go of the patterns that are holding you back. Awareness isn't just about looking inward. It's also about understanding how you interact with the world around you. It's about becoming aware of how your thoughts and feelings affect your relationships, your work, and your overall experience of life. How do your emotions influence your decisions? How do your beliefs shape the way you see others? When you become more aware of the impact you have on the world around you, you gain a sense of responsibility for your actions. This is where true personal power lies, in the knowledge that you are the creator of your own experience. One of the greatest gifts of awareness is that it allows you to take full responsibility for your life. It removes the excuse of I didn't know or I couldn't help it and replaces it with the empowering realization that you have the ability to choose, to change, and to create the life you want. Awareness is not just the starting point of change, it's the fuel that drives that change. Without awareness, you are left to wander through life on autopilot, subject to the whims of external forces and your unconscious patterns. But with awareness, you take the reins. You become the creator of your reality, not the passenger. Through awareness, we begin to see that we are not our thoughts, our emotions, or our past experiences. We are the conscious beings who have the power to observe, reflect, and make different choices. Awareness gives us the freedom to step out of our automatic, habitual patterns and consciously create the life we want to live. It's in this space of conscious awareness that real transformation happens, where breakthroughs are not only possible but inevitable. Letting go is one of the most difficult yet transformative actions we can take in our lives. It requires us to release control, to surrender the things, beliefs, and attachments that have held us for so long. For many of us, holding on is instinctive. We cling to things that we believe give us security, our past, our identity, our relationships, our possessions, our fears. Letting go feels like a loss, an abandonment of everything we've worked for, everything that has shaped us. But in reality, letting go is the only way to step into the life that is waiting for us, the life that we are truly capable of living. At its core, letting go is about relinquishing the need to control. We live in a world where control is often idolized. We are told that success comes from managing every detail, from micromanaging situations and people, from planning every step of the journey. But the truth is, the more we try to control, the more we suffocate ourselves. We become trapped in rigid expectations, in a constant need to dictate how things should unfold, when in reality, the only thing we can truly control is how we respond to life's unpredictable nature. When we try to control everything around us, we end up carrying an enormous burden. We carry the weight of expectations, both our own and others. We hold on tightly to outcomes, convinced that if we just do enough, if we just control enough, we can prevent anything from going wrong. But the problem is that life is not something we can completely control. It's dynamic, ever-changing, and full of uncertainty. The more we fight against this reality, the more we increase our stress, anxiety, and frustration. Letting go is about recognizing that it's okay not to have everything figured out, and it's okay to release the need to control the future. By surrendering the need for absolute certainty, we open ourselves to the possibility of unexpected opportunities, growth, and transformation. The less we try to grip tightly onto the future, the more we can truly experience the present moment free from the shackles of expectation. One of the most challenging aspects of letting go is releasing the past. Many of us carry our past with us like an invisible weight. Past mistakes, regrets, wounds, missed opportunities. These mental and emotional burdens shape how we view ourselves and our potential. The past, however, only has power over us when we continue to hold on to it. It's easy to become attached to who we were or to the mistakes we've made, but the more we cling to these past versions of ourselves, the more we limit our potential for growth. Letting go of the past doesn't mean we forget it or ignore the lessons we've learned. It means we stop allowing it to define who we are now. We stop using our past as an excuse to limit our present. Another area where letting go plays a critical role is in our relationships. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendships, often carry attachments that can weigh heavily on our hearts. When we hold on to unhealthy relationships or expectations, we prevent ourselves from experiencing true connection and love. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning people. It means releasing the control, the need for approval, the unrealistic expectations, and the toxic patterns that have emerged. Letting go of a relationship that no longer serves us can feel painful, but it is a necessary step toward healing and growth. Often we hold on to these connections out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of change, fear of uncertainty. But by letting go of relationships that drain us, we create space for healthier, more fulfilling connections. Letting go of toxic patterns and attachments allows us to step into a higher level of self-love, self-respect, and self-worth. It opens the door for more genuine, supportive, and uplifting relationships to enter our lives. Letting go is also crucial when it comes to our expectations. We all have hopes, dreams, and desires about how things should unfold in our lives. We create stories about what success looks like, what happiness should feel like, and how things are supposed to turn out. When we become too attached to these expectations, we often set ourselves up for disappointment, frustration, and resentment. The key to letting go is releasing the need for everything to happen according to our vision of how it should be. Instead, we allow ourselves to remain open to whatever comes our way, understanding that life is far more expansive than our limited view of it. When we let go of rigid expectations, we give ourselves permission to experience life more fully. We stop comparing our journey to someone else's and stop measuring our worth based on external standards. We stop resisting what is and instead embrace what is. By embracing uncertainty and flow, we create room for miracles, opportunities, and experiences that we could never have predicted. Letting go can also be deeply connected to the release of fear and limiting beliefs. Fear is one of the most common obstacles that hold us back in life. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, fear of making the wrong decision. We cling to these fears because we think they will protect us from pain or discomfort, but in reality, fear only holds us back from living the life we are capable of living. Letting go of these fears doesn't mean we stop feeling them. It means we stop letting them control us. It means we move forward in spite of the fear, trusting that we are capable of handling whatever challenges may come our way. Limiting beliefs are another form of attachment that can prevent us from experiencing breakthrough. We all have beliefs about ourselves and the world that limit our potential. We believe that we're not smart enough, not worthy enough, or that success is only for a select few. These beliefs can be deeply ingrained, but they are not the truth. They are simply stories we've been telling ourselves for years. Letting go of these limiting beliefs is the key to stepping into our true potential. When we release these false ideas about ourselves, we create space for a new narrative. A narrative that empowers us, that encourages us to pursue our dreams, and that helps us break free from the chains of self-doubt. Letting go is also about trusting the process of life. It's about surrendering the need to control the timing of everything and trusting that life unfolds exactly as it should. Often, we resist the natural flow of life because we want things to happen on our terms. We think we know what's best, and when things don't go according to our plan, we get frustrated or upset. But in reality, life has a way of guiding us exactly where we need to be, even if we can't always see the bigger picture. Letting go means trusting that the universe or whatever higher power you believe in has a plan for you that is far more expansive and wonderful than anything you could ever imagine. In this process of letting go, you free yourself from the emotional and mental shackles that have kept you stuck. You allow yourself to move forward with a lighter heart, an open mind, and a greater sense of possibility. It's a journey of release, of surrender, and of trust. A journey that leads to a life of peace, fulfillment, and deep inner freedom. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness in a world that values strength, control, and self-reliance. From an early age, many of us are conditioned to hide our vulnerabilities, to put on a brave face and to protect ourselves from being judged, criticized, or hurt. We are taught to keep our feelings, fears, and insecurities hidden to present a polished version of ourselves to the world. But in reality, vulnerability is not a weakness. It is one of our greatest strengths. When we choose to embrace vulnerability, we open ourselves up to true connection, deep personal growth, and the ability to experience life in its fullest form. Vulnerability allows us to connect with others on a human level, to show up authentically and without pretense, and to create meaningful, genuine relationships. In embracing vulnerability, we stop pretending to be something we're not and begin to honor who we truly are, flaws, imperfections, and all. Many people fear vulnerability because it feels risky. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we risk being hurt, rejected, or misunderstood. We risk exposing our deepest wounds and fears. But what if, instead of seeing vulnerability as something to be afraid of, we began to see it as the key to living fully? Vulnerability is where true courage lies. Pisacho y shares our core values with us, which are emotional intelligence, communication, vulnerability, and mindfulness. It is the courage to be real, to let go of the armor we wear to protect ourselves, and to trust that we are worthy of love, acceptance, and belonging, even in our most imperfect moments. When we embrace vulnerability, we choose to be open to life in all its rawness. We stop hiding behind our defenses and begin to experience the world with an open heart. Vulnerability allows us to let go of the fear of judgment and the need for approval because we stop trying to be someone we're not. We stop measuring ourselves against others or comparing our journey to theirs. Instead, we start to honor our unique story, our emotions, and our needs. Vulnerability also plays a crucial role in our relationships. The deepest, most authentic relationships are built on the foundation of vulnerability. When we are open about our feelings, when we share our fears, our hopes, and our dreams, we invite others to do the same. Vulnerability creates a safe space for others to be themselves, and in turn, we form deeper, more meaningful connections. We stop holding back, stop playing games, and start showing up as our true selves, allowing others to do the same. Think about the relationships in your life that matter most to you. Chances are the people you are closest to are those who have seen you at your most vulnerable moments. They have seen you struggle, fail, and pick yourself up again. They have witnessed your weaknesses, but they also know your strength. It's in these moments of vulnerability that the strongest bonds are forged. When we open ourselves up, we give others the permission to open up as well. This creates a cycle of mutual trust, respect, and understanding that deepens over time. But vulnerability is not just about sharing our weaknesses. It's also about embracing our strengths and allowing ourselves to shine. Many people associate vulnerability with being weak or fragile, but it's just the opposite. Vulnerability is the act of allowing ourselves to be fully seen, whether that means sharing our triumphs, our passions, our creativity, or our successes. It is about letting go of the fear of being judged or criticized and stepping into the fullness of who we are. When we embrace this kind of vulnerability, we stop holding ourselves back from pursuing our dreams, speaking our truth, and living authentically. In order to embrace vulnerability, we must first learn to let go of the need for perfection. Perfection is an illusion, a standard that is impossible to meet and often causes us to hide our true selves. We think that if we show our imperfections, we will be rejected or unworthy of love and success. But perfection is not what makes us human. Our imperfections, our messiness, and our flaws are what connect us to one another. It's in those moments of imperfection that we find our shared humanity, that we realize we are all in this together, and that we can support each other through our struggles and triumphs. Allowing ourselves to be vulnerable means stepping outside our comfort zone. It requires courage to speak up when we're scared, to ask for help when we need it, and to express our feelings honestly, even when it feels uncomfortable. But the more we practice vulnerability, the stronger we become. Each time we allow ourselves to be open, to share our truth, and to lean into our emotions, we build resilience. We discover that we can handle discomfort, that we can weather the storms of life, and that we are stronger than we ever realized. When we embrace vulnerability, we also give ourselves permission to fail and to learn from failure. So many people avoid vulnerability because they fear failure. They fear making mistakes or not living up to expectations. But failure is an essential part of growth. It is through our mistakes, our setbacks, and our challenges that we learn the most valuable lessons. Vulnerability allows us to take risks without the fear of failure holding us back. It allows us to step into the unknown, to try new things, and to grow from our experiences without letting the fear of judgment or rejection stop us. Let's take a moment to think about the power of vulnerability in leadership. Whether you're leading a team at work, in a community, or in your personal life, vulnerability is what makes you a great leader. Great leaders don't hide behind their authority or pretend to have all the answers. They show up with humility, transparency, and authenticity. They admit when they don't know something, and they ask for feedback. They acknowledge their mistakes and use them as opportunities for growth. By embracing vulnerability as a leader, you inspire others to do the same, creating a culture of openness, trust, and collaboration. Finally, embracing vulnerability means being vulnerable with yourself. It means being honest with yourself about your desires, your fears, your limitations, and your potential. It means allowing yourself to feel all of your emotions, whether they are joy, pain, fear, excitement, or sadness, and accepting them as part of who you are. When we avoid or suppress our emotions, we shut ourselves off from the fullness of life. But when we embrace our feelings, we allow ourselves to experience everything that life has to offer. We stop denying our truth and start living in alignment with our authentic selves. Embracing vulnerability is a process. It's not something that happens overnight, and it requires constant practice and self-compassion. But the more we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, the more we open ourselves up to the richness of life. We discover that vulnerability is not something to be feared, but something to be celebrated. It is the gateway to deep connection, growth, and the fullness of who we are meant to be. Success is often defined by external achievements. The job title, the paycheck, the accolades, the recognition. Society tells us that success is about having more, doing more, and becoming more in a very specific way. But what if this traditional view of success is incomplete? What if real success is not measured by what we accomplish, but by who we become in the process? Redefining success means shifting the focus from external markers to internal fulfillment and growth. It's about recognizing that true success is not something you get. It's something you create through your actions, your mindset, and your willingness to evolve. Many of us have spent years chasing success by society's standards, working long hours, sacrificing relationships, compromising our health, and neglecting our passions, all in the pursuit of the next promotion, the next milestone, the next award. But this kind of success is often fleeting and unsustainable. It might feel satisfying in the moment, but it doesn't bring lasting fulfillment. It's a hollow victory when we sacrifice everything else to achieve it. The problem with external success is that it's often based on comparison, comparing ourselves to others, competing for validation, and measuring our worth against standards set by people who don't even know our true desires. So how do we redefine success in a way that is more aligned with our true selves? It begins by shifting the focus inward. Success is not something to be achieved or attained from the outside. It is a journey of self-discovery, self-expression, and self-actualization. It's about finding purpose in everything you do and aligning your actions with your deepest values. When you start to define success for yourself based on what truly matters to you, you release the pressure to conform to someone else's vision of what success should look like. The first step in redefining success is to understand that it's not a destination, it's a process. Success is about the person you are becoming as you move through life. It's about growth, evolution, and continuous improvement, not about reaching a static goal, and being finished. Success is a dynamic journey that requires resilience, learning, and adapting to new challenges. The process of growth itself is a form of success. Because every time you face adversity, every time you push through fear or doubt, you're expanding your potential. Success is not about avoiding failure or obstacles. It's about learning from them, overcoming them, and using them to grow stronger. In order to redefine success, it's essential to get clear on what really matters to you. What is your deeper purpose? What are your values? What drives you? When you take the time to explore these questions and connect with what truly resonates with you, you begin to understand that success isn't about conforming to a societal mold. It's about living authentically and making decisions that align with your core beliefs. This self-awareness allows you to define success on your own terms, creating a life that is rich in meaning and satisfaction. True success is also about making a positive impact, not just for yourself, but for others. It's about finding ways to serve, uplift, and contribute to the well-being of those around you. Success doesn't just mean accumulating wealth, fame, or recognition. It means using your unique gifts and talents to improve the world in your own way. It means leaving a legacy that extends beyond your personal achievements and touches the lives of others. When we redefine success as a way of giving, we realize that the most rewarding form of success is the impact we have on the lives of others, whether it's through our work, our relationships, or our actions. One of the most important aspects of redefining success is embracing failure as part of the journey. In the traditional definition of success, failure is often seen as something to avoid at all costs. Failure is equated with weakness or inadequacy, and those who fail are seen as less worthy or capable. But when we redefine success, we understand that failure is an essential part of growth. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to come back stronger. Success is not about avoiding mistakes, it's about having the courage to try, to risk, and to fail in the pursuit of something greater. By embracing failure, we take the pressure off ourselves to be perfect and allow ourselves the freedom to grow. A key part of redefining success is also embracing balance. In the traditional model, success is often tied to workaholism, hustle, and the constant need to achieve more. But this kind of success comes at a cost: physical and mental exhaustion, strained relationships, and a lack of fulfillment. True success requires balance between our personal, professional, and emotional lives. It's about taking time to nurture our well-being, to invest in our relationships, and to pursue hobbies and passions that bring us joy and fulfillment. When we embrace balance, we understand that success is not a race. It's a journey that requires self-care, mindfulness, and presence. In the process of redefining success, it's also important to acknowledge the role of self-compassion. Many of us are our harshest critics, constantly judging ourselves for not doing enough or not being enough. We push ourselves to the limit in the name of success, only to find that it never feels like enough. But when we redefine success, we realize that we don't have to prove anything to anyone, including ourselves. Success is not about striving for perfection. It's about embracing who we are right now and appreciating the journey we are on. Self-compassion means treating yourself with kindness, acknowledging your efforts, and celebrating your progress no matter how small. It means recognizing that you are enough, exactly as you are, and that success is not about measuring up to some ideal, but about honoring your unique path. As you redefine success for yourself, it's essential to trust the process. Redefining success is not an overnight transformation. It's a shift in mindset that takes time and practice. You will encounter challenges, doubts, and setbacks along the way. But when you trust in your own journey and in your ability to adapt and grow, when you let go of the need for instant gratification and embrace the process, you free yourself from the pressure of having everything figured out. Another important element of redefining success is recognizing the role of gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to dissatisfaction and the key to unlocking true fulfillment. When we focus on what we already have and appreciate the present moment, we realize that success isn't something that's always just ahead of us. It's already here. Gratitude shifts our perspective and allows us to see that success is not about achieving more, but about appreciating the abundance we already have in our lives. When we cultivate gratitude, we find joy in the small moments and learn to celebrate the process rather than just the end result. Redefining success is about breaking free from external expectations and creating a life that is authentic, purposeful, and fulfilling. It's about shifting from a mindset of achievement and accumulation to one of growth, contribution, and balance. True success is not measured by what you have, but by who you are and how you show up in the world. It's about embracing your uniqueness, living with intention, and making a positive impact on those around you.